Recording.
All right, good evening. It is Wednesday, April 30th. It's time for our CDAC meeting. It is currently 6:40. Let's call this meeting to order and start with attendance. Up with Deborah, please.
Deborah Hogan, Mayoral appointee.
Jordan Trice, 5th District.
John Brunza, mayoral appointee.
Eileen Hughes, District 2.
Kenya Middleton, ex officio.
She already did it. She did it.
Did you do?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mary Ann Callahan, mayoral appointee. I'm sorry.
Michelle O'Loughlin, member at large.
Carolyn Austin, 6th District.
And I'm Justin McGregor, 7th District. Ooh, all right. Everyone get the minutes from the last meeting? Do we see any changes or anything that you'd need to make an amendment for? If not, someone make a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from our previous.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, John. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstained? All right, unanimous. Those minutes have been accepted. All right, it is time now to move on to fiscal year 51 through 55. I don't have my glasses. Consolidated plan.
It's test. Okay. Oh. Okay. So these are the goals. I managed to get this from Deb. She took very wonderful notes. Thank you very much, Deb. On the goals that we discussed but didn't vote on at the last CDAC meeting. So they're all listed here. So please understand how this is going to work. So this is the 5-year goals. These are, now we don't have to set numbers to them, but we can try if we want. Same thing with expenses overall. Generally, what I will do is put an estimate based off of current year funding multiplied by 5. Every activity you fund must meet one of these goals. So that's part of it. So we can merge some of these together. We can remove some of these. If we don't want to worry about them this 5-year cycle, we can. It's up to you, but these were sort of spitballed the last meeting. And it's up to this committee to ignore my spelling errors, but also to determine, which goals you want to use and if you want to prioritize them. So that's kind of up on you guys. Hopefully everyone can see, but I can read off all of them. Sorry. Stabilize and secure the population, support homeowners, provide opportunities and employment for youth, support small businesses, address blight, especially at entrances to cities, Brandywine improvements, First Ward improvements, Susquehanna Street improvements. We had talked about Binghamton having a sort of pride in Binghamton, Binghamton Mine Town kind of thing. Clean up Binghamton, addressing homeless encampments, dealing with blight areas, Brandywine and Mygat. And I know there are Brandywine improvements as well as the blight areas. Dealing with graffiti, prevention of homelessness, reducing vacant housing, and increasing accessibility. So we can keep all of these, we can add, we can merge, whatever you guys want. So it's up to you. I sent it out in the CDAC. I think it was it's the very first tab of the Excel spreadsheet I sent out.
Does anybody see anything that they think could be merged or for ease of our calculations for a 5-year?
Could I just suggest that
Mhm.
we be more specific about increase accessibility? Do we want to say that for, you know, accessibility for, medical accessibility, handicap, or what do we mean by accessibility and for whom?
I believe that is curbs and walkways and
Is that
Yep.
how you want to say it, Deborah? How do you want to say it?
can't.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, and more than you know. It's just difficult to speak about.
Yeah,
But that was advocated for about 25 years ago to allow speakers the ability to address council and to participate in public hearings at the mic. What is needing accessibility is City Hall, bathrooms, entrances, so you literally don't get stuck coming in to the building. Your parks, the bathhouses, I believe they're pretty much up to date, but the accessibility here, city-owned buildings, so that people of all abilities can participate with the least differences possible.
I was just gonna piggyback on what you said. It's so true. Like, it's really sad that people have to walk inside and out. You have to go in and out of the building just to come back in here. So it definitely needs to be updated.
yeah, that's why I think we need to be more specific. And line 17.
Do we want to increase accessibility at government buildings and facility or public facilities? Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do people feel about this one? Because if we're gonna rank them, it'd be a good idea to go ahead and weigh how important this is to people. So I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, how does everybody feel about that, with 10 being the highest?
I think that may prove to be hard because we think all of them are important, that's gonna be
Okay.
a problem.
All right, we can wait.
Yeah. And I would like to say that the Binghamton My Town should also be expanded. I think that we talked about that as being some sort of an outreach campaign that would talk about Binghamton, what we think of ourselves as a community and what we'd like people to know about Binghamton. So that, yeah, there you go.
Well, so combining, the only issue I see with 10 and 11 being combined is one is more of the outreach and the pride in the community. The other one is essentially can deal with, specifically focuses on garbage, litter, that kind of thing. Oh, please don't tell me it died.
Nope,
Okay.
that's good.
All
Clean up Binghamton, dash trash, graffiti, et
Yeah,
cetera.
definitely, I think you combine it with 14.
And then
definitely.
14 can go.
I think maybe color, if we color code them too, we might be able to group them into categories and be able to see where we can combine and rank from there.
It's not easy without a mouse, just so you know. All right, let's see here. Like that. Well, is there anything else that's sort of? Okay. You guys can talk while I'm doing this. It's not, you don't have to wait.
That was graffiti, right?
I'm not sure if 12 works with blight because it's specifically about homelessness.
Yeah, I mean, that could probably be lumped in with 15, 16.
I can though see what you're saying, how the encampments could be
And
considered part of
three.
blight as well. It kind of crosses both.
Yeah. Probably 3 can get lumped into 15 and 16 too, just overall general.
Well, the thing with housing and although I will admit housing and homelessness are directly related, there's very different tools that can be used for those. So I think it's a good idea to keep homelessness or any things that address homelessness separate from specific housing. Although, yes, they're very, very much connected. Absolutely. Again, these aren't, the color coding isn't really anything other than us using it to help, combine things.
Can we clarify what we mean by stabilize and secure the population? That's a big job. That'll take a couple of generations.
Does anyone remember what that meant? Stabilize and secure the population? No, the small businesses was just, I think, just standard economic growth kind of thing. And of course, that can also be connected to homelessness and blight as well. I mean, again, these are all very, very much connected kind of issues.
Join the club.
Oh,
Oh,
have any buck in there?
I figured, and I figured he's really busy, so. Exactly, that's why he's really busy.
Well, we can come back to that one if someone else wants to. I mean, so far you guys have talked about. I'm just putting an X to indicate we've talked about them. Accessibility to public facilities, Binghamton, My Town Outreach and Pride and Community.
I think we should just go.
Also, what are our goals going to be? I mean, what are sort of the measurable goals? Like, for example, increase accessibility of public facilities. I can say our goal is to make all public facilities ADA compliant. And that's the goal, 100% ADA compliance. Yeah, especially City Hall. Yeah. What about My Town Outreach and Pride and Community? How would we measure that? They don't have to be measurable, but these are things to think about to try to address. And I don't want to spend way too much time on these goals because we still got to do the budget and that'll take long enough. So we can come back to that as we deal with the budget. So if the items pop up in the budget, you can go, oh, we need to have a goal that addresses that as well. And we can come back to it. If you guys want to move to the budget. Because it sounds like everybody's a little beklempt on this, so.
Well, rather than talking about outcomes, could we talk about methodologies? Like we will have X amount of outreach programs or X amount of
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
brochures or whatever, you know?
You absolutely can. You can say we want to put, it can be dollars, it
Yeah,
can be
you wanna
programs.
Put posters up about how great Binghamton is.
Yeah.
That would be a more, since you're starting out, that's a good seed.
Hmm. Okay, so how do I want to write that down? How do I want to write that? No, you can be somewhat vague.
Create a variety of outreach methodologies to reach the greater part of the population or to meet a variety of demographics.
Wide variety of population. Cootie.
Wide, right, what?
Wide, it's wide. I hate laptop.
Sure, blame it on the laptop.
I mean, I even spelled
That's what
variety
mine
wrong.
looks like when it's not a laptop somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Variety. Do you guys want to move to the budgets and we can come back to this?
Yes,
So I'll make it easy. Here's ESG. Now, this is already, you guys kind of already went through it. I believe you said that you pretty much were going to accept what the COC recommended. So it was pretty much fully compliant with, or fully in with what the COC recommended, and it is listed here, right here. I can go over the specific numbers. 25,000 for outreach ministries, 10,920 for Volunteers of America, 35,270 for the YWCA emergency housing, 18,810 for the YWCA street outreach, and $60,000 for Finn's homelessness prevention program. Does anybody want to change anything? I had to make a note. We are no longer paying HMIS fees to the coordinated entry and HMIS people. The individual agencies are now responsible for submitting their own reports. So this is potentially votable unless somebody wants to change anything.
anybody see anything they want to change? I'm seeing a thumbs up over there. I'm seeing glasses being put on, so that's good. I'll put mine on as well.
I'll try to zoom in a little bit.
Excuse me, not that I'm asking to change anything, but somebody let me know who HMIS is.
Homeless Management Information System. So we don't pay that anymore because each individual agency is responsible for their own fee. Basically, what that is a centralized database of individuals who are using homeless services and enables them to be quickly shared between certified agencies to find the best care for someone. So if someone goes into one agency, they can pull up their information and they go, okay, well, your best fit's going to be this thing here. So that's kind of how it works. And it's a way oversimplification of what it does, but. But again, we're not paying any fee for that anymore. I forgot to remove it.
Eva, I'm curious, was that something HUD mandated or something the city decided to do?
It came about because the COC/NY 511 is going through a lot of chaos. And we now have a new homeless management agency, the home HMIS management agency. And they have basically tried to make us pay extra. All we use it for is generating reports. They tried to make us pay extra. I said we had the user fee. They said the user fee is for entering information in on clients. And I told them 1,000 times, we do not enter information on clients. For our previous HMIS coordinator, this was the fee we got so that you guys would run the reports. And they said, oh, that'll cost you like 3,000. And I said, no. And they said, all right, well, the agencies can do it. And I said, okay, that's how we'll do it. So see, that's how I save the city money. Ironically, that agency also got an additional amount of money from us for another thing too, but I was so tempted to be like, you know, we don't have to sign the contract with you. You can go kick rocks, but no, I didn't. I was a professional. So. So you guys feel like voting on this? Because we could vote on individual grant budgets might be simpler than trying to do it all at once.
I'll make a motion to approve the numbers as they sit for the ESG.
Deb, second. All right, there's a motion to accept the ESG numbers as they are and as they were recommended to us. That motion's on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, that's unanimous.
800. Yay. Watch as I save it specifically this time.
Please don't lose it.
Okay. All right. So that's the ESG budget. Oops. The next easiest one is to do is the home budget.
Oh,
So I have the housing admin maximum you can spend is 45,640. We have, oh shoot. There we go. So the maximum you can spend on housing admin is 45,640. So the only other two realistic pools to put the money in is into the rehab line and then the Chodo set aside. Chodo set aside has to have a minimum of $80,460.90. And the rehab projects have to have a minimum of 80,000. That 80,000 reflects our estimate of how much program income we will generate next year. So all program income for home will go into the rehab project. So do you guys have any numbers you'd like to use?
Steve,
Mhm.
before we go to numbers, are you able to expand it by taking the comments out and reducing your top margin?
Well, I could just zoom in and then ignore the comments too. Does that help?
A little bit, just
Okay.
one more time if possible.
There you go.
Okay.
Might even do one more. Yeah, there you go. Is that better? You know, if city council wants, they could put in a projector that projects an enormous thing up here. That'd be great. An IMAX. Yes. 3D glasses. Only play Pink Floyd. Yeah, that'd make it easier. And there's popcorn. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So, you guys have any, well, I mean, at a minimum, I'll put in the minimum here. You gotta spend at least this amount on Chodo. Does anyone need me to explain what a Chodo is again? Okay, so a Chodo is a nonprofit agency that provides housing for low-income individuals, actually extremely low-income individuals. It's basically rental rehab, but they have to maintain and prove that they're providing quality, affordable housing for a period of time based off of how much money they get, usually between 10 and 15 years, but it can be longer. So examples of Choto would be things like 27 Pine Street, the Veterans Homeless facility. Ben's facility off of Virgil. Ben's other facility off of, what's down from the VOA? What's that street? Munsell. Let's see who else is doing one. First Ward Action Council has a few scattered Chotos around. They're trying. I'm not sure if they're actually going to go ahead with it. So, but yeah, agencies like First Ward Action Council, Family Enrichment Network, Greater Opportunities, the YWCA, Metro Interfaith are all agencies that have done Choto projects in the past.
Okay.
And Steve, I think if I remember correctly, last year we made it this kind of a strategic decision that we were going to push money into Choto, more so than in the past. How is that working out? How did it work out?
Well,
Or it takes a long time.
yeah, the mayor has currently 3 Choto projects that were sort of in the preliminary stage that are using up, I believe, was it almost all of the money? You were there for the meetings. Was it almost all the money? Almost all the money. We still have the home ARP money, which has to be spent by 2030. We did identify one project that may or may not continue. So that one itself is not technically a Choto, but it's similar enough. So currently right now, almost all the money is obligated for Chotos. All the Choto money that we have previously obligated or previously funded is obligated.
I have a question. So like, what happens if something falls through? Does that money come back? Right? That goes back, right?
Yeah, I mean, the money doesn't go anywhere. It's all reimbursement based. So once they spend the money, we reimburse. Once everything else is approved, and Chotos are an amazingly complex level of paperwork for projects. Once all that paperwork's done and they get going, as they spend the money, they'll get reimbursed for it. So money isn't like upfronted or anything like that. It just kind of sits there as something we can draw down from the federal government and then pay.
Does it have to be matching?
They do not have to match, but most of them do, because honestly, even the minimum $80,460, that's not enough to rehab most single family homes. So they're generally going to be multi-million-dollar projects. And they generally, the agencies, probably one of the longest thing it takes for them is to gather all those additional grants or whatever they're going to need for the projects. Yes. Oh. Sure, we have $401 million. What are you kidding me? That would be, otherwise you're implying I made a typo. I would explicitly tell you you're making a typo. All right. So yeah, Choto money, generally you have to put a lot in anyway. Now,
I have a question. So if they're normally like bigger projects, like multi-million-dollar projects,
Mhm.
would these be projects that would be eligible for like pilot programs or not necessarily?
well, generally they're nonprofits, but some can be for-profit businesses who could, because it's payment in lieu of taxes. So a nonprofit generally wouldn't pay taxes anyway.
Oh,
Although I
okay.
think there are some tax credits. I'm not sure how the tax credits for nonprofits work. I have heard of them say that before, and that confuses the heck out of me. I'm not sure how they're getting tax credits for it. But yeah, this could be similar to a pilot. There's certain grants. You know what it is? I think actually what it is people make investments into these projects and they helps reduce their taxes. I think that's kind of how it works.
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
that's sort of a educated guess on that. So
Okay.
so but yeah, pilots, a lot of times they get money from New York State. There may be other federal programs they apply for. Trying to think of the various ones we've done. The 435 State Street? Is that 435 State Street?
What, Canal Plaza?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so 435 State Street's an example of a Choto. Now that only a small amount of Choto money, honestly, compared to the overall project went in. And I think we're only like monitoring 3 or 4 units in there, but that was a multi-year, multi-millions dollar project to make mixed use. I think it's mixed income. Well, it's public housing, it's got Section 8, it's got the Chodo projects, it's got all kinds of stuff in there. It's a great project. It's definitely like showcase of what we can do with Chodo money.
I said on city council and voted for that to make that official. That was a great project.
I mean, really, we can look at this as a few things. First off is offsetting city taxpayers to help pay for the salaries of the people administering housing projects. Rehab projects, single family, owner occupied rehabs of their homes. And finally, low income rental housing rehab. You kind of look at those kinds of things.
I think I'm kind of in support of the single family home
Mhm.
rehabs, only because I feel like that's going to make more of a difference sooner rather than Chodo projects and that, you know, take a lot of working parts. Just my 2 cents.
I agree that can help stabilize the neighborhood faster than waiting years for a project to come up.
Yeah, and it's one thing badly needed with the housing stock in the situation that it's in.
And it was at the top of our list of priorities for the 5-year thing too. So correct me, line 34 is maximum could be 45,006.
Correct.
60. So last year we budgeted 55,1460. Do we want to roll that over?
But you're saying put the maximum in?
The admin cap, yeah.
Also, in case anyone's curious why some of the numbers are lessened this year, last year we had this issue with HUD's calculation of program income. And so this year I've decided to remove program income from any of the percentage calculations just because we want to avoid that again, because that was a horrible mess we had to deal with. That's why the amount of that you could put into admin is lower this year, because I excluded the, you know, however much program income was included last year.
How short of last year's cap were we?
No, I mean, it was budgeted at the cap, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Mind you, that wasn't anything that HUD had a problem with, but I've just, after that issue with the program income and the program income being so wildly roller coastery over the last few years, I'm removing it from calculations altogether. It's just extra money that goes into rehabs. That's how I'm looking at it. Oh, don't forget here. 37 is the rehab projects. Yeah.
Yeah, so, let's see. Sorry, I can't see.
Let me put the minimum in there so we can
Fine,
see the
thanks.
minimum.
So we have, unencumbered and available April 25, 2025,
Mm-hmm.
50.
Yeah.
But our final budget was 95.
Yep. Because some money may be encumbered for like current projects may have encumbered the money. I don't have the amount of encumbered money up here. I just put the unencumbered.
Okay.
Basically, the money that's available and the money that was spent. This is not, none of these things show anything like purchase orders for projects that are ongoing. Because that's more difficult to, I could do it next year, but it's an extra column.
Okay. And then what's the comments for that owner occupied?
Owner occupied home rehab homes, all home program income will be automatically assigned to this. So a few years ago, we just started anytime we get program income, we used to budget it and divide it up amongst the things. But then it got difficult when it came every year to amend the program income because you have to estimate how much program you're going to get. So a few years ago, we switched to putting all program income at CDBG into the CDBG housing program and all home program income into the rehab program income because those are client-based, they're application-based. And it's easier to say, reduce the amount of money or increase the amount of money we have for housing projects as they come along than say, trying to figure out which service programs we're going to reduce after the fact. So.
Okay.
What's the PI?
Program income.
Program income, okay.
So program income is generated
I'm
when,
putting it in my
okay,
glossary.
so when we do any rehab project or first time home buyer project, or even some Choto projects, a lot of times we will have a mortgage with the person or the agency. And in there may be an amount of forgiveness. Currently, our rehab projects have a maximum of 80% forgiveness. So that means that if we put $100,000 in a property, we don't generally, of home or CDBG money, when that mortgage has to be cleared, that homeowner would have to pay us $20,000. So that's just part of the closing cost. So that means that they have a little bit of skin in the game. It encourages them to stay in the house because it's forgiven over time, or it's partially forgiven over time. And as they sell those properties in the future or transfer the deed, money comes back to the city. We put the money back in the rehab line, and now we can now assist, helps offset costs for future rehab projects.
Is the unencumbered amount there, the 50,000, is that indicative of not enough each or not enough, are we not?
Honestly, we have a bottleneck on probably contractors.
Okay.
That's kind of the issue with that. Although it's hard to say because we've kind of changed things just this year. We've increased amounts that we're able to put into properties. We've started doing certain sub projects. Well, we'll do a bunch of roofs or something like that. With CDBG money, we've been doing appliance programs. All of those that fall under the rehab project. So,
so if we were to and push a large amount of money into that, is that going to be problematic with the bottleneck, or do you think it'll be resolved and the money can be used?
well, my staff, not Shannon, my staff think, well, actually, I don't know, Shannon might think that they can spend a lot more.
Good to know.
That's what they think they can.
Okay.
It's hard to tell just because we've changed our programs this year.
Mhm.
But yeah, you could try and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I'm inclined to suggest we put, 150,000 in there and see how that looks with the other numbers. I don't know if anyone disagrees.
Although that money will go a long way, we just don't have the contractors to push out that kind of work right now.
But that doesn't mean we won't have new contractors in the future. It's possible we can do even more projects or bigger projects. What else are we using home for? It's all rehab. Yeah.
The contractors, it has to be an approved list of contractors that
Yeah,
can do that.
They can apply, and they basically provide proof of insurance. And then once they get added to the contractors list, they'll have an opportunity to bid on projects. Trying to think.
So how do they know to, is that in like public notice in the newspaper?
Oh,
Like,
the housing coordinator does an outreach periodically, every few months or so. He, tries to go find new contractors or sends out mailings or emails as he hears about people. We've also lost contractors too, both just not interested in doing the program, as well as contractors who've done, how do I say it politely, crap work. So we remove them as well. So that does happen, unfortunately. But that is the current bottleneck.
But yes, I did just update the ad that's going to go in for public noticing.
Thank you.
And we do have a waiting list on rehab projects going back about 95 people on the list. Close to 100 people are on the waiting list going back to 2020 or 2021. So a minimum 4 years wait time,
Will money help that?
potentially. Well, I mean, they may step up the game, especially because we're putting more money into we're doing bigger projects. We're doing more work on individual, just because the cost of materials has increased and just to get the money out the door. So we might be able to do more, or spend more on projects.
Steve, I have a mechanical question.
Mhm.
Are there any mandates on the homeowner to keep the property up to code?
Well, there's a mortgage on the property. Okay, so with home money specifically, once we're done, all code violations must be corrected. That's the requirement of home. That's the actual grant requirement. So what that means is before we go through and identify all the code issues, and those all have to be addressed. Number one, it's entirely possible we go through a property and determine it is just beyond saving. Like, we're not going to pour $300,000 into saving a $75,000 home. So all code issues must be corrected at time of completion. Now, we don't necessarily go back and monitor the homes after that, but the mortgage, the fairly standard mortgage, and I believe it indicates in there they must keep, sort of standard mortgage language that they must keep, home in good condition or whatever. But they can also pay it off after 5 years. Oh, they can pay it off after one day, but they lose a lot of money.
Do you have a rough estimate on what the average rehab project costs?
$75,000 in home.
Wow.
Or let me rephrase that. That's the amount we're willing to put into individual projects now.
Okay.
So,
So per property. Okay. Yeah. So that doesn't go very far. Right?
but understand not everybody wants full rehabs because they understand they have to pay back 20% at some point. Now they may not owe that back until 80 years from now, but once the deed exchanges hands, it has to be addressed. So we get people calling because their parents have passed on and they're trying to close the estate. So they have to they deal with the mortgage, but it's not onerous and usually it can be dealt with through selling the house. Then we get a portion back. They don't pay monthly payments or yearly payments. There's no interest. It just sits there. It's basically a lien on the property until the deed changes hands.
Can be a good deal.
So how it works is the housing coordinator, well, people generally know if they want to get certain things done and they'll have a list of things they want. The housing coordinator will go out with code and they'll identify code issues. So code issues have to be addressed first. And then they go down the list of what the homeowner wants. We cannot do external, like we can't do driveways, we can't do landscaping, we don't do sidewalks or curbs, but we do porches, roofs, common ones, porches, roofs, windows, doors, siding, interior improvements such as electrical upgrades, plumbing upgrades. We can do replace old appliances with new energy efficient ones. And then if there is money left over, we can do some remodeling of, and often it's usually a bathroom or a kitchen. But at that point, once you've addressed all that other stuff, if you want to go for the full amount, you're not gonna have like a super fancy new bathroom at the end of it. So. If you wanted to apply for it, so you would just had a meeting on this today. So you apply to the city, you get put on the waiting list. Once you get to the top of the waiting list, we start the income verification process. Assuming everything is good and you meet all the requirements, you will have the housing coordinator come out, go through your house, figure out how to rehab it. Then we will bid out to the contractors. While that's going on, you'll get into a mortgage with the city. We are the secondary mortgage if you have a primary. And once a mortgage, the contractors have bid, I believe the homeowner selects, but generally they go with the lowest because they have to pay the difference if they go with a higher one. And then the housing coordinator monitors the the contractor as they do the work. And each time that a payment needs to be made, the housing coordinator has to sign off on it, the contractor has to sign off on it, and the homeowner has to sign off that the work is done and they're okay with it.
Become eligible.
Yeah, you have to be income eligible, the 80% LMI. There's other restrictions and things too, but I mean, that's the gist of it.
So currently, if I heard you correctly, we have a waiting list like 4 years going right now. How many have been processed in the past year?
In the past
haven't-
year,
Or on average, what's the accomplishment rate?
I believe I addressed this when I did the housing one.
I want to say 4 to 6 rehabs, complete rehabs a year. We can do roofs separately, because they don't take as long. Appliances can go separately too. So it all depends on the contractor and what they can get done.
And
But full rehabs, 4 to 6 a year.
So in the last 12 months, we've spent $224,000 out of home for rehab projects. So that was probably, 4 to 6 rehab projects. Not everyone uses the full 75K. But as I said, we have upgraded our programs, so we're now spending more per project. And I believe Cam has found some new contractors, so kind of diversifying our contractor list. Have them call us, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I think so. Or 224,000, I believe.
Has contact been made with the Southern Tier Home Builders Association? There was a recent trade show at SUNY Broome.
I believe Cam communicates with them, but I can certainly ask. What's it called again?
Southern Tier Home Builders Association. Could get a number and referral from the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay. Thank you.
Would imagine that it's going to be harder to find contractors because the state has its T-HIP thing going on and land bank is kind of ramping up. So I would imagine that, you're all probably competing for the same pool of contractors, aren't you?
Possibly. I mean, the contractors are going to go probably where the money is going to be. So we have increased it. We had a 50K limit before. We've upped that to 75K plus 20 more from the state for a separate grant. So we put between 95 and 100 into each building now.
Part of your My Town outreach too.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, a lot of the contractors that we have now also own their own businesses. So they try to do their own work before they do, ours.
Oh, maybe internet password.
Ladies and gentlemen, two-factor.
Yeah, we had to start doing that. It's to make sure that we're not. Yeah.
Hacking your stuff, using your stuff.
So you have about $260,000 left between these activities.
I'd bump up rehab to whatever we're comfortable with, the maximum, and put the rest in Chodo, I guess. I feel as though that aligns with the values that we've outlined and our goals. Does anyone disagree and want Chodo funded more?
I like that, it bothers me that we don't have enough contractors. So then you're limiting, we want quicker progress. But, we have to wait a long time for the multi-million-dollar projects too.
Yeah, so
But historically, we've put more in Chodo, correct?
Well, I mean, last year, a lot was put into Chodo.
Yeah. So maybe this year we could do more rehab.
do we want to match what they did? His 224,000 or 225, 250? And then throw the rest in? Shoto?
Well, what happens if you do the smaller projects, the appliance replacements and things like that? You don't necessarily need, who do you get for that?
The appliance projects are actually done out of CDBG rehab because of the nature of the projects. So that doesn't impact the home money at all.
Okay.
But those usually are anywhere from like 5 to 15 or 20, depending on how much work we do. Yes.
And then the Tibra, that's the renters.
Hebra, currently, we have a
Yep.
contract with Binghamton Housing Authority to help pay for security deposits for their public housing and Section 8 clients. They're still in the contract. They still have a ton of money left.
Right.
They barely spent, I don't even think they spent half of it yet.
Yeah.
More than likely, what I'll end up doing is just asking to amend the contract from city council for another few years.
Okay.
Yeah, they
I
just can't
wanted
even
to make
spend it.
sure that that was still the case, already funded and.
Yeah, and
It's
just so everyone
outside.
knows, I have reached out to other agencies that provide housing and no one wants to touch Tibra. So
What is it? Because it's onerous to get involved? or-
there's an amount of paperwork, but it's really just rental assistance. And some agencies already get have like a rental assistance program and to be double dipping. I'm not sure why others don't want to do it. It is somewhat onerous.
What about the Urban League? Have you reached out to them? Because I know before they were giving rental assistance.
Were they providing rental assistance or were they referring rental assistance?
They were providing it. They had money and they were providing it to people. I'm gonna reach out to Jen Lesko too today.
Yeah. I didn't know they were doing that at all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, but we'd have to hire another person to handle that. That's basically us redoing Section 8.
Nope.
And once we do Tibra, it would be like, it would need to be continuous, otherwise. I mean, each individual renter you assist, I think, is somewhere like 5 to 10K a year. And you'd have to keep that kind of going. Otherwise, as soon as you stop it, they're going to be either evicted or they'll be on their own at that point.
It worked. All right, so what's that number we want to throw in there? John, we liked your idea, so what's the number?
Can we get another project? If they're 75 each, 225 maybe?
225 would match basically what they spent last year. And we
Yeah,
also-
okay, so just so everyone knows, in case you're curious why the discrepancy, see where it says FY expenses as a 425.25 and I put 0, but I told you they spent 224. They spent 224,000 of older money. Just the FY50 money, they have not,
Mhm.
but we have encumbered some of it.
I think it sends a message regardless about our priorities.
Mhm.
And you want to put the rest in Chodo? Let me make this easy. Oops. There we go. 265, 76540. Yay. So what we have here is $45,640.60 for housing admin, $225,000 for home rehab projects, and $265,765.40 for Chodo set aside. And that's so far what we have. You can vote on this, or you can continue discussing and make modifications.
Do we like that? Are we comfortable with that? I know we all said we preferred helping single family homes and refurbishing things. I think that gives them the money to do some more work on that. Now, if we can just get the contractors in line to do it.
Think that does go along with our comments about blight. So I think that all aligns.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept our CDBG home and ESG?
Well, this is specifically the home budget.
Okay, the home budget for the fiscal year 51. Do you have a motion to accept this page?
Make a motion to accept.
A second.
And Jordan accept seconds. Do we have everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Seeing none, do we have an abstention?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're unanimous.
Okay.
Can't vote. Darn it.
Oh, yeah. Saving.
You're gonna vote later on this.
I know.
The easiest next thing to go to, well, we can review services if you want. But I figure we can do services review. This is the numbers I have down here. Then go to capital, and then we'll go back to the main page for the rest of CDBG. Just so you guys are aware, there's about 3,000. I did the math. I think I was rounding some stuff up. So you still have about $3,000 you could put into service program. So
$3,324.50.
So currently it is 15,000 for Action for Older Persons, 15,000 for Astor Rice Foundation, 30,000 for Boys and Girls Club After Hours Program, 20,000 for the Boys and Girls Club Teen Center, 20,000 for the Boys and Girls Club Summer Program Fees, $10,000 for the Broome County Council of Churches Greater Good Grocery, $8,760 for the Broome County Urban League Attain Center, $15,000 for the Broome County Urban League After School and Summer Program, $10,000 for the CARES Backpack Program, $10,000 for the Park Rangers Program, $30,000 for Fairview Recovery, $15,000 for Mothers and Babies, $15,000 for Safe Streets NOMA, $6,240 for the Cdac project, $15,000 for Triple Cities Makerspace, $15,000 for Vines, Grow Binghamton, and then $15,000 for the YMCA Emergency Housing Program. What are you looking for?
And we have how much
My
left?
page from last time.
We have how much left that we need to put in there?
I mean, you don't have to, this,
$1,324.50.
yeah, you could put an additional 3,000 if you so choose. You do not have to put all of that money into thing. I will tell you this, though. Normally, I would tell you, please don't push to the service cap. However, because we're excluding program income, it's a little bit safer to push towards the service cap, so.
Which is why he told us there was a little over $3,000 left.
Well, no, it's because we're removing the program income, it's gonna offset, hopefully. In the off chance that all the service agencies spend all their money and we don't get streets done or something.
Steve, I need to request, I just lost my phone.
Hmm.
Much greater definition in the size of that, please.
Yeah.
Comments out completely. Do apologize. Can the spacing of your view at the very bottom bar come over a wee bit?
Bottom.
Just make it bigger and we'll scroll up and down.
Why don't-
Where the placement is, very bottom cursor,
Yeah,
right there. Oh. The gray bar, there you go.
Can you see that now?
It's better, thank you.
Then we'll just scroll. Scroll it up and down if we need to.
Steve, I have a question because we are looking at zero for the community
That's what I'm.
policing, and Captain Bidwell told us that their funding has run out.
Mhm.
We should have asked him if there's any opportunities for them to get other funding. Because that's an important program, especially if you're talking about building, awareness in the city.
Yeah.
So maybe if nothing else, maybe we can put that extra into them. It wouldn't be a lot, but it would be something.
$3,324.50 into community policing.
I'd also like to take a look at the Astor Rice program and possibly a reduction of 3 to 5 on that. I know they do great work. They're relatively new. But it's not an everyday program where the others, I believe, do, except for CARES as a once just before school starts with the backpacks, but I'd like us to take a look at that.
I have a feeling that the Rice Foundation has other fundraising opportunities too.
So what would you like to reduce it to?
10.
That would be my recommendation. Yes, please.
You have $5,000.
Throw it into community policing.
Into where?
Community policing.
You have $0.
The other one I'd like us to take a look at, if we could please, is Vines. Amelia does such an amazing job with grant writing. With it being a summer employment, in the past, they have received money from the New York State Labor Department. So there might be just a small trim there available, again, because of other funding sources.
What would you like to reduce it to?
If we're at 15, again, possible consideration of 3 to 5, would look for other recommendations.
Anyone else?
I would say if we do the 5 and we can give it to the community policing, then we've kind of leveled out the whole thing. Everybody gets, the numbers are working, I think, a little bit better.
So how much do we want to reduce fines? $5? And then put that where?
Community policing.
So that's now $13,324.50.
And I think they'd appreciate anything because as he was telling us, it's hard to get people who want to do the overtime. At least community policing, overtime is,
Yeah, I know, but I thought they had a grant for that.
they've used it up.
Yeah.
Captain Bidwell said. Yeah, no, they've used it this time. Because they've had more officers who are willing to do it.
I think he said something along the lines of the newer generation of police officers. The younger generation doesn't want to do the overtime like the older generation did. I didn't hear anything about avocado toast or anything else like that, so I don't know what he was implying, but yeah.
And that's in my notes too.
Any other adjustments in service programs? Don't forget, I remind you guys of this every year. If there is a program you like, you fight for it. Don't forget that. So. Is everybody comfortable with the numbers we have now? I can reread the whole thing if you want.
I would like to say, though, that when our chair gives the city council presentation, that he also go to the mayor and explain why we are deciding what we're deciding and how difficult that choice was.
Because remember,
The other thing is about the community policing. In my notes, you know, we based on Officer Bidwell's discussion about positive presence in the neighborhoods, can we emphasize that really has to be in the neighborhoods?
Well,
That's
there's
exactly
two
what it is.
specific there's two specific areas that there's two specific locations they're able to get CDBG police overtime. I cannot remember off the top of my head what they are, but I want to say one is on the south side and one is on the west side.
First ward.
Is it first ward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do community policing in my neighborhood. And that's exactly what the project is for that kind of outreach. and
Right.
Making the police less and less of an enemy and more of a friend, like
Right,
Captain Kangaroo taught us.
right.
Captain Kangaroo. I watched Captain Kangaroo.
I remember Captain Kangaroo.
He was still around when I was young. I don't know who BB is. Yeah. Do we like our numbers here? We comfortable with our numbers here? I'm seeing some him and haws. John, what do you want to fight for? I know there's something you want to fight for.
No, I mean, I don't like any of the numbers because we've had to make really difficult decisions.
Right.
This is always the toughest.
Yeah, but we might be
Yeah.
as close
sorry.
as we can get.
Could we scroll back to Action for Older Persons? Because I think that's one program we have held in high esteem. Is that at 17,
It's at 15,000.
15?
I do think that Action for Older Persons, they serve a big population. So I don't think we could give them some extra if we,
Where are you
We don't
taking
have
the
this.
extra from?
I don't want to take away from it. I don't want to.
That's a question. I always ask this question. The Boys and Girls Club.
Go ahead.
I don't know, like since I've been on this board, I always feel like that project is kind of overfunded and, more funded. And I think that this is just my opinion. I cannot vote on anything, just my opinion. I feel like that project always receives the most money out of CDAC. I also feel like the people that it's serving is just not everyone, whereas a lot of these other projects and agencies serve more people than the Boys and Girls Club. And even though it does help the community with kids, it's not all kids. Like not every kid is being serviced by that program. So that's just my opinion on
We
the
already,
Boys and Girls Club.
We went through that.
them
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, if you look at what they requested and where we pulled it back to, the one thing is, I know that the mayor loves this program and the
Yeah.
mayor is going to push back hard on our numbers for this. I know I'm presenting to city council.
Do you want me to go on the meeting with you?
What?
Would you like me to come to the meeting with you when you present?
Well, you're on city
I'm
council.
presenting.
Oh,
to
I
you.
know, but are you presenting to the mayor too, correct? Or is that separate?
No, no.
It's
All
assumed
together?
at the same, it's kind of assumed at the same time. It's
Okay,
a
that's
presentation
fine.
to city council / the mayor.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I really, like, I feel like that. I understand he likes that program and I understand that, but I just feel like there's so many other programs on that in so many other agencies that really like Action for Older Persons, they really service like a big population. And I don't know, I know you guys already discussed this, but that's just my personal feeling.
I tend to agree.
Yeah.
I-
like, we have
I
to
do
spread-
agree.
We have to spread it out. I understand that, but it's just something that, we need to spread out.
And I think it's incumbent upon us who are mayoral appointees to go back to him like somebody would go back to their council person.
Yes, I'm
And
going to.
explain what, we can explain to him also as your appointee, this is why we decided to do what we did.
Yes,
Because reality has to come in here sometime, the reality.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting what they want.
no, there's never enough money. It's so sad. They would spend more money, putting back into our communities rather than going to war. It would save so much money.
Well, I think the
It's like-
misconception is that what's the human services portion of the budget percentage wise?
You can't exceed 15%.
And if to us, that's the priority. That's, so it's crazy.
I think that's specifically why there's a cap on that, because I think HUD realized that all the money would go into services, and they really do want like capital projects and housing and stuff like that as a bigger priority than the service programs.
Okay, so several people on this side of the table do agree. What kind of number should we look at reducing if we want to take a little scalpel too and cut around? That's what I'm asking, if they want to. I mean, if we truly believe in some of these other programs being more touching more lives, do we fight to get the money into the hands of the people we think are going to affect more people, is what I'm saying. My question was, with the Boys and Girls Club, and we were trying to get answers from the police who work with them occasionally on these programs. Like how many different kids does it serve? How many does it, how much of the overlap is there between each of those programs? Are we basically helping the same 54 kids or whatever? Boom, boom, boom.
Mhm.
And what I think we learned was yes,
Yeah.
that there is significant overlap in all three of those programs. So I would be in support of reducing them, even 15 each.
15 for each one of the Boys and Girls Club programs?
Yeah, maybe that's too much. I don't know. Too much reduction.
If you present it 15 each, it certainly gives the person at the table negotiating power to say, okay. And the mayor may want to go up to 25. Well, right now it's at 30, so.
The mayor wanted us to do $25,000. Is that what his number was this year?
The minimum for everybody was supposed to be 25,000. And then like last year, Boys and Girls Club, the after hours program got 50K. So exceeded even that.
But
Then I'd like to make a recommendation that we change action for older people to 25.
I second that.
All right, you're at minus 10,000.
Boys and girls.
The other thing
So
that
it's-
that does, if we do that to the Boys and Girls Club, it kind of forces them to look for funding in other places, because we've said this for years, you cannot count
20.
on block grant money.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not an
That was
entitlement.
it.
You
Yeah,
don't
you're
get it
right.
every year.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
we have more agencies applying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's more of a need for different agencies. Why not give other agencies some? All right, I'm done talking.
It's okay, you can talk.
Why aren't you talking?
You can talk, it's fine.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
You're supposed to give us the insight of city council.
The
All
other
right.
concern that I had was going back to NOMA. They have created a wonderful footprint, but the concern when you look back at the budget, it's very heavy, actually 55% in regards to salaries versus programming, if I'm reading it correctly, and others can help me with that.
You make a good point, Deb, because in their presentation, they really focused on the fact that they had volunteers that did most of the work. And then you looked at their numbers and the salaries of the actual, and yes, they're doing good work, but so is everyone else.
And the hourly wage for me was difficult when I read the fine print and reread it this weekend.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the wage, because I do want people to get a living wage. But I can't ignore the amount of people who showed up in support of NOMA. That community meeting was open to everyone and they turned up in numbers, and that means something to me. So I don't know that I want to reduce them anymore.
And not only did they show up here, but all their events they talked about, the numbers were just astronomical. The growth just in the years that they've been coming here.
Mhm.
The
They
growth
definitely
that-
do. They
yeah.
definitely do. And I've been there a few times, like I helped out with lunch a few times there. And it's real, these programs are really needed, especially on that side of town. Not only is like NOMA right there on Main Street, there's so many people walking up and down that they are really servicing a little bit of everyone. You can come Saturday for lunch. You don't have to ask, there's no numbers being taken or anything. Just come and have lunch and have a good time. So I think like programs like that really service like the people, but mainly in that area right there, there's not too much going on. So that's just my opinion. I feel like.
Something intrinsically wrong though, when you ask for 17 or you got 17 one year and you're asking for 84 the next year.
Yeah.
That indicates to me that you are not vigorously looking for other sources of funding. And that's the problem. It's not that they're not great. It's that they're putting all their eggs in our basket. And that's not safe for anybody to do these days.
You could say the same thing, like we all agree about the Boys and Girls Club too. That's the same thing. Like, I think a lot of these agencies too, like maybe.
That's exactly it.
That's it. Yeah, a lot of agencies we have to start, letting them know that, this isn't, what you can. And, just from my experience in nonprofit, I think a lot of the times when you are searching for grants, like if the city has it open, even if they ask for this amount this time, the next year they say, well, maybe. So it's not even that, it's not even like something with their budget. A lot of the times it's maybe, well, let's see if we ask for this, even if we don't get what we asked for, we got something. So I think a lot of the times in just my experience in nonprofit world and helping with grants and writing them, a lot of the times you ask for that, you don't even know what you're going to get when you write a grant. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So it's kind of like, all right, I'll ask for
Yeah,
this.
you can shoot for the moon.
Yeah,
but-
you
but
shoot.
You're not
Yeah,
gonna
you
get it.
shoot. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get this amount of money.
But that does raise a red flag though. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
I-
what's going on here.
I honestly wouldn't say it would raise a red flag, only because of my experience in grant, like writing and like dealing, like working every day in the nonprofit.
But if you
world.
write grants, and I've done this too for
Mhm.
not-for-profits, you know that there's a realistic
Of course,
area that you
course.
can try to shoot,
of course, of
you
course.
shoot realistically high.
But that's also on whoever writes the grant.
That's
So I don't
true.
get that. It's
But I
also
mean,
whoever writes the grant.
As
And I don't,
people who are wise about
yeah,
these things.
I mean, like me and you, we wouldn't jump
Yeah,
that
no,
far. We wouldn't jump that
absolutely.
far.
No.
But just someone who's like writing the grant, or, they'll try to say, oh, we'll see that.
Right.
But like I said, when you apply for grants, you don't know if you're gonna get it or not. And a lot of the times people ask for a high number and just to see like if it's gonna stick or not.
Well, let's see if they're happy with the number that we give
Oh.
them, right?
All right, I'm done talking again.
We're giving them 15,000 on a request for 84, and that's less than we gave them last year, and it's one of the programs we do like. I'm not sure shopping them even farther is. We're at 100% funded. We've successfully put in the 25,000 for Action for Older Persons, just by tweaking the Boys and Girls Club. Without gutting their programs, but still $60,000 towards the Boys and Girls Club. So, I mean,
And also just going back to NOMA, again, half of their budget is from us despite 1, 2, 3, 4 other possible resources.
that's their estimate of their budget because it's at the $84,000.
It's at the proposed.
Correct.
is
Yeah,
that
and
table.
we're only giving them 15,000, so we're not gonna be 54% of their budget.
So if you guys think these numbers look good, do you want to go ahead and vote on this?
You would vote on the CDBG program as a whole. We would just go on to another part of the budget.
Are we comfortable with these? I see thumbs up, I see thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Eileen? Shrug of the shoulders, you're good. Deborah?
Are we at 0 or? do
We're
we
at
have a
0.
deficit? Okay,
Yep. We got that $25,000 in. We got for action for older persons. We uh we reduced the after hours teen program in the teen center because remember when the cops were here, they were said it was basically the same kids. And so that we're paying for the same number of kids twice. So
been a possible issue or a concern with past commissions in previous years.
yeah. Thank you. So do we want to move on to another page? Yes. Okay, I see a nod from everybody. So another page, Stephen.
All right, so here is the capital projects page. There is no cap on these. I apologize, when I sent it out, I did not include the YMCA roof replacement. Apparently, this is the roof replacement year because everybody wants new roofs. So here are the numbers. I'll try
Can
to
we
zoom in.
Pull the B column narrow or those two columns narrower so we can make it bigger. A and B. So that Deborah can see them up front. One more.
One more.
Great job, Steve. Thank you.
Okay.
I want to add again, I hate laptops. Okay, so there is no cap on these. So I'll go over which ones have requested money. American Legion Post 80 has requested $300,000 for their roof. Broome County Council of Churches has asked for $25,000 for their program that installs ramps for the disabled. First Word Action Council, this would be where you put the home repair program for seniors. They want 85,000. Phelps Mansion wants a new roof for $57,866. Roberson wants a roof replacement for $100,000. SEP wants to replace the roof at Hamilton House for $60,000. The Cdac project wants money for building acquisition and renovation at $100K. The YMCA wants a roof replacement for $41,467. The Parks Department gave you guys their wish list. And then the DPW gave you their streets wish list. I'm gonna do something real quick here. You're the man behind the curtain.
There's different flavors in there. There's different flavors in there if you want one. In that box, in the bag, red and white bag. This is just regular vanilla chocolate. Drumsticks, Nutty Buddies, whatever you want to call them. I'm old, so it's Nutty Buddy.
Okay. So I'm gonna go back to capital. So just so everyone's aware, between demolitions, the American Legion roof, the Phelps Mansion roof, and possibly the Roberson roof, you cannot exceed $536,000. And the reason why is that 70% of your budget must be spent for programs or services that help low-income people, areas, businesses, etc. These projects would only qualify under sort of a historical stabilization or blight removal. So that's its own sort of special category. We almost never have this many non-LMI things apply. So just in this special case, just letting you guys know, it's about $530,000 maximum between all of those projects.
And
including
what's our
demolitions.
total on this page?
The what?
What's our total to spend?
$1.788, $1.78 million. I can just do the math at the end. We'll see if we need to reduce something, but here are the capital projects now. What do you guys want to do?
I want to say that I believe Hamilton House, if it has to be low income, I'm pretty sure everyone in Hamilton House is low income.
Hamilton House qualifies as low income. Yeah,
Okay.
Hamilton House was not included. It's the American Legion, Phelps, Roberson, and then demolitions. All have to, the sum total of all those have to be less than $536,000.
I'd like to start
Dave,
maybe
you-
with, I'm sorry, Lee, go ahead.
No, my question is, that 536 is not to exceed 536.
Not to exceed
So we
536,000.
could go lower if
Yes, absolutely. It's not a, I would just say it's not a target you want to hit. It's just a maximum.
we see the need elsewhere. Okay.
Yeah, and those are not programs servicing low income people, areas, et cetera.
I think I'd like to start low by funding Ramp It Up. I like them. I think they provide a good service.
At the 25,000 they requested?
Yeah, and I'd like the home repair for seniors too.
Steve, the question for First Word Action Council, to piggyback with John, does that go into that 500,000 total, or is that
No,
separate?
that's low income. That's low income. Yeah.
Okay, so we can fund them
Yep,
at
yep,
their request.
yep.
That
I'll tell you
Back
guys
up.
when I'll tell you guys when you're funding something that could influence that. So
Oh, can we fund Hamilton House as well?
yep. Oh, for 60,000? Who said that? Was you?
Sure, yeah. that
That's
was
60,000?
Sure, why not? We'll start there. and We can make adjustments if we need to.
The thing about Hamilton House, I think is SEP has deep pockets and a lot of projects elsewhere too. So I do want to keep that in mind.
Are they?
I said the thing about Hamilton House
I
is
feel like if
that
I do that, I feel like
as we learned from the SEP, the presentation from SEP is they kind of have deep pockets and a lot of different projects going on. I don't know that they need our money as much as other people do.
Okay, what else? Or are there programs you say absolutely no, I do not like that. That's stupid. Well, don't say stupid, but
Steve, question, the executive director of the Phelps Mansion, I felt that there was another grant. It was actually due the same evening that she was applying for ours.
in the packet.
Are you aware of historical grants that they would qualify because of their standing on the registry through the city, or is this their only pot of money they can go after?
I don't know. It would have been in the applications if they had secured another grant. I don't know of any specific historical grants.
That night that she presented, didn't it come to light, thanks to Jen, she didn't realize that this was for fiscal year 51. She didn't realize. So,
In which this money would be available to them.
yeah, she wanted it like now, yeah. So,
So her,
There was crossouts, and then there was an annual fundraiser in December, according to my notes.
so it looks like they're trying to get a loan from M&T Bank for 75,000. And then also get money from New York State Council of the Arts for 57,866, which tells me likely, although I didn't read specifically in there, that maybe they were trying to match the Council of the Arts. I'm curious about that. I don't know. Can't say one way or the other. And it doesn't say in here, but it's such a specific number. Also, don't forget, if you want to do a park projects or street projects, this is where we would put them as well.
If I can, I'd like to speak up in favor of Cdac. I think they're a unique program to the area. They didn't really get much out of our services section. If we can help them get the building, I think it's something unique that they could provide, a good service that we haven't really seen elsewhere.
Do you want to put the $100,000 in that?
I would.
Could I just ask, I have it in my notes that it was, the location may be 98 Main Street. So does that affect our decision? I mean, did they? So do they need this money to secure that place? Or were they going to secure the place? And then,
My understanding is they
Sure.
were going to purchase and renovate the place using the CDBG grant.
so they need this money to purchase their,
That was somewhat of my impression, but I can't be definitive about that.
Again, it was location, location, location as far as their service area. They're Center City right now. Very proud of that, but according to their narrative, it is looking to do a move to be able to expand the numbers. And if you're able to reach one-on-one or a family, this is where you can help prevent homelessness and learning to save for a home. For me, by age 25, that was done because that was drilled into my head. Mowing lawn, vegetable stand was done at 25. And I'm not sure necessarily people have that same goal. They may not, but having had my parents with a little, credit union savings account, it started. Most people may not have that knowledge or opportunity. And I just was impressed with his presentations. This is building wealth.
Definitely, and not only with Binghamton being a high poverty city, I think that could be one of the ways to help reduce that level of poverty. I think we're like number 2 or 3 in poverty in the state of New York, so. Number 2, no, we're number 3. Okay, the Bronx, Brooklyn.
What are our numbers gonna look like if we
Our
do that?
streets.
If currently you have about $270,000 in capital projects, there is no cap, there's no limit on capital projects.
I would like to go for then the American Legion Post 80 because was involved with an organization and they actually left because of the rain and damage to their artifacts and club. So sadly, we lost an organization from Binghamton to elsewhere in Broome County.
So is this working? That's a project that will be subject to that LMI cap because it's considered historic. Do you want to put $300,000 into the roof rehab?
Looking for other thoughts.
I think one of the things that concerned me when she put her presentation, and she was very sincere, but she didn't seem to understand that there might be other places or didn't know where to look for other places.
The problem is with various, as you know, they're volunteer officers successfully. This has been an issue for them for many years, and I'm not sure that they've been successful in looking elsewhere. That was my take on it. from previous years' experience
That they
outside
weren't
of here.
successful or that they didn't do it?
Unsuccessful.
Unsuccessful. Okay.
I went and toured 80, post 80. The roof damage in the upper floors is significant. It is a very historic building that a lot of organizations utilize at very affordable prices that goes beyond just veterans. So many groups, boys and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Christmas dinners and breakfast for the homeless and different things they do throughout the year there. And the building is literally beginning to fall down on them. And they are doing everything they can to make money when they can rent out at a decent price, when they're not reducing it for nonprofits or little groups or whatever, to make their events affordable. They're trying to raise money to in the interim. She did send us the second quotes and the breakdown of how they can patch the roof. So I don't know if we need to do the full 300 or if they can, you know, fix parts of it, the worst parts, and save the structure, to buy them some more time. I know she's looking into historic New York grants because it is a historic building. But there's matching requirements to get that funding, so they'd have to have another source of income too, so.
I think that I would go along with partially funding. I don't know if I can go with the whole 300,000.
I'm in agreement there, I think.
So did you guys have a number?
What if, yeah, Marilyn just said, I tend to agree. What about half?
Half of it?
Steve, just by chance, if the email with the extra quotes does half patch the most significant areas?
Sorry, repeat that.
I apologize. There was a second email. I just can't get on my email right now that with the numbers with patching, does that equal the half that's just been proposed? Or do we need to adjust it based upon the numbers from that?
I'm not
Extra
sure.
info.
The 300K request is based off their actual application itself. So I don't know what they put in the email if it was different. Does anyone else know?
I'm looking for that email right now. Yeah. Here we go. Come on.
I'm seeing another quote for 259,000.
So it's broken down. Yeah, it's 259,171. Which is cheaper than 300,000, but it's also broken down into different roofs, so you can tell what sections can be repaired and patched at a specific amount. Yep. This is the second quote.
So 150 wouldn't do one, wasn't there 3 sections? I'm sorry, I don't have my email.
They're in the patch section, second quote, there's 11 sections. Ranging from 2,500 to 70,200. So there's a wide variety of stuff, I'm sure.
So the worst part sounds like would be the 70,000
I think there's a city council.
part,
meeting
right?
there.
That is shingle roof replacement. for the shingle parts. Because it's a different roof. Certain parts of it are flat roof with the rubber, whatever. Some parts of it are
Maybe.
addition where
Right.
then
Right.
there's the main roof with the shingles.
Right.
So the main roof is 70,200. And then there's a variety of other stuff.
So
Here.
150 is a start.
39,900 is the roof restoration coating. I think that's the ballroom.
I'm good with the 150 for now to.
Yeah,
just
for
as
now,
as
and
a
then let's
start.
see what we can do with others, and then if we can give them more.
Alright.
I'm wondering if we might be able to jump ahead. The parks wish list.
Yep.
Was 325,000. I know that we can put in specific parks and everything like that, but I wonder if we just want to put the number in there if we intend to make all the park dreams come true.
You guys want, yeah. How much was it?
325,000.
And I will tell you, I was very impressed with that presentation.
That was the best one.
And I had a chance to since get over to Columbus Park, even though it should be eye shot, but did a specific kind of tour. It looks like a mini Rumble Ponies. It's fabulous. And I just can't wait for the other things that will be done. So if that's the vision where we are now, what could be done and what other sides of town are going to shine, which is part of our build a better city of Binghamton.
Mhm.
Starts with your parks for seniors to youth.
And then the street rehab.
That was also a wonderful presentation. I was very impressed with that gentleman. And again, the direction the Department of Public Works is taking. And what they did with Fayette Street was fabulous to put a Band-Aid on it.
They're also being very proactive with the regular tasks that they have to do, the trash and stuff. If people forget to put their trash out because a holiday changes it, they send a truck anyway. So if we do this, we're saying, keep up the good work, guys. Because they don't hear thank you very often.
And there is actually, Josh is the acting commissioner, so he's not technically the commissioner and he's doing a good job, so.
His presentation was fantastic.
I would say great job.
I think they're 53. Is that, am I reading my handwriting correctly?
What street
I
projects
thought it
were
was
they?
183, but it couldn't be my handwriting.
Dickinson, Colfax, and May Streets.
Could you say those again? Colfax what?
Dickinson, Colfax, and May, M-A-Y.
And what was important about targeting that specific area is they didn't have to pick and drop, which means the machine can just walk its way over and we save money by not having to trailer to another location. So the largest impact in a small condensed area, I think will really save money, biggest bang for the buck.
So how much did they say?
I
just so
thought
you
it
know,
was 183. He said 153.
and my notes say either 153 or 163 or 183. So I wrote it down weird too.
Don't leave it to the vet in the room.
Yeah, my handwriting's terrible and I can't even read it.
I'm pretty sure it's a 150.
You think that's a 5? Okay, Shannon thinks I wrote a
Yeah.
5 down.
Okay, so
I
5.
think I wrote a 5.
Okay.
I wrote 153 down.
Okay.
See? We all had the right number. We just couldn't read our handwriting. It's all good.
Anything else in capitals? And don't forget, I put the Y at the bottom. I do apologize. Please don't ignore it unless you choose to ignore it. It's up to you.
Do we have a subtotal going?
Currently, right now for capital, $898,000.
We have 657 to go. What was that down there?
You have 657,000 left for all other projects. For everything else is CDBG.
Is there other capital city projects? I don't.
No, if you're doing all the parks asked for and all the streets asked for, and none of the other departments asked for anything capital, then yeah, that would be all the city capital improvements requests.
Steve, about the Y, is that the roof replacement? Does that go into our other subtotals? And are we over or just at?
The roof replacement counts as low mod because it's homeless, the homeless shelter. So it's can be done fully. The only thing right now that you have non-LMI is the American Legion.
Can we, the number of beds that they're going to increase the homeless shelter at the Y with in that facility as they churn that, was it the gym or pool or something, one of the two, into more multiple levels of housing. Fixing the roof that will stabilize that whole building is enormous, I think, in my mind, and $41,000 would be a major investment towards housing the homeless. And that was one of our target goals. It was number,
We don't have any numbers yet.
oh,
It was it was like row 13, I think. Way down, but that's not prioritized.
it's fourth on mine. Right.
Yeah. It's good if they are prioritized, but
I was just doing them in the number, I think the
Yeah.
way they were mentioned, and you were kind of filling in a sheet.
So they're eliminating the pool and the gym at the Y,
Is it both of them or one of them?
at the YM.
Yeah.
So then I think they're gonna hit, is it?
All the
Isn't it gonna be a total of like 180 some beds?
It's a huge increase.
It's a
yeah.
huge amount.
The, they already told most of the people who use the athletic facilities, hey, go to Westover,
Yes.
whatever. So. Westover.
what will he do? Has he already said something? We have a coworker who goes to the Y every day to work out. He's not happy.
It used to be right there.
Yeah. No.
No, it's nothing.
I mean, honestly, I think it is a sad comment that for the city that we have to give up that kind of a facility of a gym and a pool and place for people to exercise. And I mean, that's been an established facility for, local businessmen, attorneys, men and women, both facilities. And now that is, it's all
50
going
years.
away and becoming a total homeless shelter. I think that's,
Well, they're restructuring the
Estates.
whole facility and how they operate in there. I'm not sure it's becoming, the entire facility is becoming homeless.
But the YW did that. The YW used to be a regular YWCA and now it's essentially a homeless shelter.
yeah, I know. And I'm just making that comment. Isn't, for
I
those
think-
of us that are older and know what the city was, I mean, it's sad.
Yeah, it is definitely sad, but I think when you compare all the other gyms and things in town now, they were already losing the membership to that to begin with. And it's just the next progression in that. And there's another Y facility that when that was built didn't exist.
It also goes to our goal to stabilize the population. And unfortunately, I mean, you and I remember where there were no homeless people or very few homeless people, but this is the reality we have to deal with now.
And the sad commentary for those of us in Center City is this is coming in the original sheltered workshop. That is going to be various forms of housing too. That is going to be coming on board. So, and then you have Pine Street with the veterans. So it's a commentary on where we are.
Yeah, fortunately, we're not the only city in this country that's dealing with it, which is cold comfort, but
That sheltered workshop facility, the addition on the back and the windows and all the stuff, the work they're doing looks amazing. I don't know if you've driven by it, but that whole curved, they're maintaining that, or they're restoring that curved section and everything so that you have the old and the new and everything all. I mean, it's unfortunate that there aren't people working in those buildings and contributing to Binghamton, but the fact that we're gonna have people living in there is better there than in some of the housing stock that we all are complaining about throughout our fiscal year 51 meetings, so.
And women go from over from the, where, over by you, east side, Salvation Army. They still there in those, is that still shelters?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I didn't know because the Salvation Army closed down. And I didn't know if they kept that part of it or not.
Talking about the Salvation Army on Washington Street.
No, the on
Over
Griswold,
by
It's closed?
the Griswold.
the Dick's Sporting
Oh, the
Goods.
thrift store. I thought you meant the feed, the community meals, that place. Okay.
Yeah.
They still have the collection stuff there because I dropped stuff off the other day.
I did too, but I was like, I didn't know if they still had the beds and stuff going
I
on
think
there.
they do. The traffic, the foot traffic that goes along Court Street that I see every day hasn't changed, so I'm assuming, maybe I'm assuming wrong, and they're going to the Giant or the Weiss, but I always thought they were going to the shelter there. But aren't they doing something over on the north side by the old?
I know they were trying to, but I don't know the current status of that. That's been in the works for a while,
Yeah.
many years.
Since
I don't know. the current status.
2016,
Yeah, I don't know the current status of it, unfortunately.
yeah.
Great, I love you.
Excuse me, and I know I was in this meeting, but I forgot. For the YMCA to create these additional rooms, is this for a warming station or is this gonna be a permanent, quote, semi-permanent anyhow, residence for an individual,
It's gonna be their,
individuals?
a continuation of their rooms like they have now.
Okay.
And then there's also gonna be a space where they can put in additional cots, beds for an emergency warming station in the code blue times.
Okay,
So it'll
a
be an
combination.
addition of rooms for regular purposes,
Mhm.
and then code blue additional beds as well.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And that was in the newspaper.
I think in light of the money that we still have left here, let's see what we can do with the Phelps Mansion and Robertson.
Okay. Do you want to fully fund them?
We've got it. Yeah.
Wait, do we have to do the other park upgrades, the line?
No.
Oh,
They're the park upgrades. You guys just said do all the park upgrades they
Okay.
asked for.
Okay.
So we included all of that,
Oh,
so we
okay.
didn't have to break down specific things.
Okay, good.
Let's put those numbers in then.
That is a sum total of almost 1.1 million just on capital projects.
Now, where else can we use that money? The 458, 172.
That's the rest of the budget. Hold on, let me. Oh,
Whoa,
I hate laptop.
Okay, so the time is currently 8:33. If we do not think we can finish this budget by 9 o'clock, would you like me to call an emergency meeting for next week or no?
It wouldn't be Wednesday,
wouldn't be
Thursday,
Wednesday.
the eighth would be the most recent or the most.
We can finish.
Okay. Let's do it.
I have faith in us.
All right, let's do
Okay.
it.
So here's the rest of the CDBG budget. It includes. Why does it keep moving? Oh, there we go. It includes admin salaries, general planning salaries, BLDC salaries, housing salaries, code enforcement, the home purchase assistance, demolition blight removal, oh, the lead asbestos risk assessment, and the Binghamton Homeownership Academy. You have, yeah, you've got 458,000 to play with. Let me put the, why does it keep doing that? 'Cause I hate, because I hate laptops. Let me put the minimums in here.
I would just like us to see, keeping along with our theme of blight removal, remediation, that we can put as much into that as possible.
I put minimums in, that leaves you with 378,000. You can, by back of the napkin, you could right now put up to 226,000 at code enforcement. But code enforcement, I wouldn't recommend putting more than $220,000. So let's just start with admin. Minimum is 17,325, maximum is 163,000. How much would you like to put into that? Now, mind you, anything you do not fund with CDBG will be funded out of straight up general fund taxpayers. Because they're salaries. So this is the salary reimbursement to the city.
Did we throw the maximum in there? I see thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yeah. And that one too.
So planning and that both at max. BLDC salaries, maximum I would say would be 40K roughly based off of past performance.
Agree.
40 in that. Housing salaries, the other end of housing salaries, you can put up to 82,000 in there.
Yes, for now.
And code enforcement, you could put up to 220,000 in there.
Yes.
Pretty sure you're over at this point.
Yeah, we might have to trim back on some roof replacements.
Yep, you're $150,000 over.
And we didn't put anything in blight removal.
Or the CDBG end of rehab. CDBG rehab, I think I had asked for $150,000. They're getting low in their pool. They could spend $150,000 next year. Minimum 35, that reflects the program income only. And this is for single family. It's similar to home. It's the single family owner occupied assistance, but it also is our appliance program. It's also our first time home buyer program. It's all falling within that.
I'm very keen to fully support that one. If anything, I'd want to come back just a wee bit on code and just see where we are to make it an even 200.
You
And
have about
again, just seeing where we
130,000.
are.
Yeah, you're 130,000 over. I mean, understand like last year, you put about $300,000 in a capital project, and this year you have a proposal to put about 1.1 million in a capital project, so slightly more than the standard capital project funding.
So we have to go back to capital projects,
I mean, no, you could also trim off the salaries and stuff like that.
but that goes on to the tax rolls. Exactly.
Not an
We don't
easy
want to be,
decision.
we don't want the mayor nor the city council nor ourselves to have a bullseye on our head for raising taxes.
Let's see what we can do here, put in all our numbers and see how much we have to trim from
Yeah.
the capital projects
Yeah.
once we get everything going.
How much would you like to put into the CDBG home assistance program? No, that's actually more like home. Home had money in from before. CDBG is getting close to the end of the amount of money it's got available. Yeah. And that's $10,000 per first time home buyer. The appliance program, if someone just does appliances, comes from that. Emergency repairs will generally come from CDBG if someone calls in with
So isn't that
emergency.
stuff we
rehab.
funded in the other one? Or we thought we were?
The what?
The appliance program and those things, I thought we were funding in that other line.
No, it's CDBG. Home or full rehabs. Home or like, home is for like the $75,000 like rehabs for the entire house. That's the one that addresses all the code issues. CDBG rehabs usually can be smaller, they can be quicker because of the difference requirements and regulations. So that's what we use for our first time homebuyer program. It's what we use for appliances only and what we would use for, say, emergency repairs. We can also do a full rehab with CDBG as well, but since we can do that with home, we'll just do that with home. CDBG housing is more flexible.
What about roofs? Where would that come out of?
What about what?
Roof.
Roofs, depending on the situation, if it's only a roof that they're wanting to be done, it would be home. If they want to do, or AHC, if they want to do a full rehab of their house, we would just do home with that. So, but if it was, say, they had a bunch of things they wanted to do and we could do the roofs early, that would be CDBG.
Can I make a recommendation and we just look at it and then see how much we have to gut from the other side? Throwing 200, making the 35,000 in home purchase assistance, 200,000. And throwing in, the 224,000 in the demolition and blight, just matching the year 50 expenses, basically. How far are we underwater?
$500,000.
$500,000.
Let's go back to capital projects.
Back to capital we go.
Make sure we're good with everything. You don't want to put any into lead and asbestos risk assessment?
We didn't do it last year,
We
right?
didn't do it
Because
last year because there was still more money than used the previous
Yeah,
year.
but it's getting low. I believe I had made a recommendation. It wasn't a big recommendation, like $2,000.
$2,000 then. When we're down 500,000, what's $2,000 for? We're $500,000 in the hole, Stephen. $2,000 is.
Well, let me see exactly what I asked for. I thought I asked for a very specific amount.
There's supposed to be a new Broome County lead prevention program coming that is possibly up to $40,000 per building.
$40,000.
It's supposed to be coming down the pike this year or next.
Well, this isn't necessarily to remove the lead or asbestos in your home, it's to do the studies to see if remediation has to be done for the other housing projects. So we hired, if people come in, test for lead, then they do the rehab work and then they test for lead to make sure there's no lead. We're starting to find out that we're going to have to start doing this also more aggressively for asbestos. That means it's an unknown cost. But I can tell you this, if it push comes to shove, we would just pull money from the home purchase assistance and repair line. Because no, they're different lines altogether, but we would probably just do an amendment to be able to get that. So yeah, I'd ask for 2,000. So I'm sorry, it's 520,000 over. Yeah, okay. Reflected at the bottom. All right, so you have $520,000 still to cut.
I think perhaps, let's see what, if we can scale back the Legion to 100. And I would propose SEP 0. I know that does affect people there. I don't take it lightly, but they're a big organization. They've got a lot of projects. I think they'll manage.
I think they came to us because we helped them with their handicap accessible ramps and driveways and everything. So
We
then
just
they
did
were
the
like,
parking
hey,
lot
let's
there.
see if we can get
Yeah.
lightning strike twice. Yeah.
The other part for me would be Phelps Mansion versus post 80. As far as, again, the diverse population of post 80. I just think there's a possibility of Phelps Mansion having other funding sources.
So what would you like to do with that? Zero it?
Realistically, we weren't even sure if they were going to be able to do anything with that money because it wasn't, they needed it sooner than.
Yeah. I thought we left her presentation with her going, oh,
Right,
this is
Yeah.
not even the window for me
I
Yeah.
agree. So
Well,
I
let's
maybe
zero
we
her.
should zero that out.
or them. I apologize.
350,000 in the hole.
Wow.
We did just fund Roberson's lighting project too. So I wouldn't be necessarily advocating to zero that out, but I think it would be fair to reduce it.
Yeah, we've done recently the lighting project, in the last few years, the lighting project, the sidewalk project, and what is that? We didn't do a parking lot. Wait, did we do a parking lot?
I think we did, didn't we?
I remember the lighting, I remember the
The cut-through,
sidewall, and then
yeah.
there's the new art pottery building we helped them renovate as well.
I thought we did the parking lot the first year I was on it.
Well, possibly.
So
I
let's
think we should reduce Roberson.
To what?
give them half of it.
Yeah.
What? Zero?
Maybe 50,
Oh, 50?
just to see where that brings us.
280.
$300,000.
So I was looking at those numbers from those American Legion, the main roof is $70,000. So if we give them the 70,000 for the main roof, or they can do 3 of their smaller ones, 4 of their smaller ones, or the main roof. If we give them 70, that gives them
70 or 75?
70. If they can't come up with $900, I'll write them a check myself.
272,000 left.
And then maybe we need to reduce Broome Council, just that fully fund first ward, or,
You want to
Yeah.
reduce first wards?
I mean, everybody else.
How much do you want to reduce the senior home repair program?
I don't.
Don't either, because that helps keep seniors in their homes.
Do you want to reduce ramp it up?
I would rather reduce Cdac maybe.
Yeah, but can we
If
give Cdac half their
75?
half or 75?
Half.
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 We have,
Yeah,
Nice
we
down
we
payment.
we gotta find money.
Okay.
You have 222,000 in the hole.
Now we have to go to the parks, right?
Deb, let me know if you can't see, let me know. I can read off the numbers.
I mean, do we need to cut the park upgrade?
Can we do 300 with parks?
199.
With Roberson
Nice, that-
Memorial, does anybody know what the charge is to go in? I mean,
It's technically,
their profit is?
it's technically can be free. So they have these little magnets at the entrance to the place, and you just can pay with that. You just take the little magnet off and you give it. They will not charge you if you don't have any money. You just use that. But I think the nominal fee, I think, is like 10, 15, 20, something like that. But you can, if you do not have money, they will not charge you.
Somebody does pay for that.
Yeah.
Somebody else will pay for that and then they'll stick it on the wall and say, here's a gift.
Does someone else pay for that?
Yeah.
Somebody else. pays
Yeah,
for
it's like a pay it forward program that they
Like a
have.
Pay it forward type thing.
I got a hilarious story to tell you about that.
Okay.
after. Not on camera.
Okay.
Okay, do you want to
That
go?
still doesn't answer your question. Sorry, on how much it costs to get in. I don't know.
No, I was just curious how profitable,
We just.
if at all, they might be.
Placements.
I
that you're
believe
taking
it's
in.
under $10 a person, last time I checked. I took my kids a couple summers ago. I want to say it was right around $7 or $8 a person.
Senior discount, but maybe the kids getting, it's usually about $10 for all the people. Yeah.
$197,000 in the hole
Can we go back to our other page?
to the main page. You can also cut services too, but I don't think you guys aren't gonna want to do that, so. Yep. So currently you're under cap, you're under the cap for, planning and admin salaries, if there's anything else weird.
How about the home purchase assistance and repair? Should we?
You want to reduce the home
Back
purchase
there,
assistance and repairs? To how much?
Should we do 150? I don't know.
You guys want to do one? That'll leave you with $147,000 left to cut.
Well, if you have other sources for the
Sorry,
home
I
purchase
apologize.
assistance and repairs, let's cut that down more
I-
to
To what?
75.
75,000? That
What if-
means you have 72,000 left to cut.
What about demolition and blight? What if we brought that down to like a flat 200?
You have $48,000 to cut.
Okay, go back to capital.
Okay. How much do you have to cut? Okay, yeah, 48,000. Roughly 50,000 to cut.
We took it out of fund.
Well, maybe we should cut the roof, the YM roof.
You want to
Replace-
cut the Wise roof?
I'd rather cut the Roberson.
The Roberson roof?
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather cut Roberson than the Y.
Oh, I thought.
I agree.
Yeah.
The
Sure.
Roberson has so many grants available to them.
Hmm.
They have spaces they can lease out for significant amounts of money
Yeah.
that they can make up.
They could throw a
faster.
gala.
Yeah, they can throw a gala and replace their
Exactly.
roof.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would go to a gala to replace their roof.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll go along with that.
Zero that out?
Yeah.
All right, you actually now have money. You have $1,713.50.
Give it to Steve.
Nope, doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. I wish.
17, 13, 50. Can we go back to the other screen?
Where would you like to put $1,713.50?
I'd like to go back to the senior home repairs, because I think we did cut that just a couple of minutes ago.
Nope, it's still 85,000.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, back into the either the parks or
Yeah, back in parks.
Back, okay, I'm hearing multiple things. What are you guys doing? Parks?
Parks.
No. Oh.
One. 3.5
301, $713.
and 50 cents.
350.
Do we agree with these numbers? Are we?
I'll read them off. I'll read them off, but
Okay.
let me just double check. Okay, we are at, yes, that's 0. You're meeting the public service cap. You're meeting the planning and admin cap. And according to my calculations, you're gonna meet the LMI cap as well. Any other modifications before I go through what all these numbers are?
No.
So currently we have $163,325 for admin, $47,000 for planning, $40,000 for the BLDC/economic development, $82,000 for housing salaries, $200,000 for code enforcement, $75,000 for home purchase assistance and repairs, $2,000 for lead and asbestos risk, $200,000 for demolition, $20,000 for the Binghamton Homeownership Academy. Scrolling over. Capital, $70,000 for the American Legion Post 80, $25,000 for the Broome County Council of Churches, ramp it up, $85,000 for the First Ward Action Council Home Repair for Seniors, $50,000 for the Cdac, for Cdac's building acquisition and renovation, $301,713.50 for park upgrades, $153,000 for street rehabs of Colfax, Dickinson, and May, $41,467 for the YMCA. And I read off the CDBG service numbers before, and we haven't changed any of those. Is this comfortable with everyone?
Yes, I'm seeing thumbs up. I'm seeing nods. I'm seeing thumbs up. Yes, 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 yes. All right, so do we have a motion to accept the proposed fiscal year 51 budget for CBDG, home and ESG?
Make the motion.
A
I think-
second.
Oh,
Is that Deb?
Deb originally raised her hand, so Deb for the motion, John for the second.
I'll switch them.
All in favor?
I
Opposed? Hearing none, unanimous.
All right. Let me save it. You're watching me save this.
If you lose this.
In fact, well, I called off on the numbers specifically for that. In fact, I'm gonna save it twice.
By the way, we had 3 minutes to spare at the moment we approved that.
I saved it twice, 2 different locations.
You'll
Okay.
send that to us, right, Steve?
Yeah, and
Awesome.
I was gonna say, we could still work on the goals, but we don't have to. You guys have listed your things, and I'll work with the mayor using your suggestions, and we'll come up with some solidified goals with the mayor's office. So I wouldn't worry about this year. We never had to vote on it before, so it's not a necessary requirement.
Thank you all. It was a pleasure working with you folks for this budget. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so this concludes our meeting and our fiscal year 51 planning.
Yay.
It's time for our final attendance, starting with Deborah.
Deborah Hogan, Mayoral appointee.
Jordan Trick, District.
John Brunza, my all appointee.
Eileen Hughes, District 2.
Mary Ann Callahan, mayoral appointee.
Michelle O'Loughlin, member at large.
Marilyn Austin, District 6.
And I'm Justin McGregor, 7. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second? Jordan, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you all very much.